Our windy senses are tingling. Jrue Holiday, could a trade happen to the Golden State Warriors? According to Windhorst, it might happen. First, though, would you do it? We want to hear from you down in the comment section here. That is today's poll question. T for trade, P for pass. Could he fit alongside Steph Curry in this backcourt in a move that could potentially involve a Chris Paul trade? All of that coming up right now on Golden State Warriors Today. Let's rock. So a crazy day yesterday in the NBA. We talked about it here on Golden State Warriors Today. That was our NBA coverage under the Chat Sports umbrella. And now on Thursday, more reports coming out, more juicy rumors to get to, including this one for the Golden State Warriors. The Dubs named as a potential front runner for Jrue Holiday after he was traded by Milwaukee to Portland as Damian Lillard went to the Milwaukee Bucks to team up with Giannis, and now the Trailblazers said to be shopping Jrue Holiday, one of the top two-way guards in the NBA. Here are the full trade details. By now, you already know what happened if you're a real basketball fan. Lillard, Dame time, going to Milwaukee. Jrue Holiday highlights the package to Portland as Damian Lillard doesn't get traded to the Miami Heat. So much buzz behind that. DeAndre Ayton also going to Portland, and then Yusuf Nurkic, the headliner, going to the Phoenix Suns. Bobby Marks of ESPN saying this, that the trade is a TBD incomplete for Portland until there's a resolution on where Jrue Holiday eventually goes. Could he eventually go to the Golden State Warriors? We transitioned to that, and that's why you're all here. Windy on ESPN saying this, even the Golden State Warriors, who have interesting young players on their roster, plus a few far-out draft picks and swaps when Steph Curry might be retired, could join the race for Holiday, provided they'd be willing to retrade Chris Paul, who members of the organization have praised for his offseason work of trying to fit in. Now, obviously, with that from Windhorst, there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot to absorb and take in because I think that the Golden State Warriors have warmed up to the idea of CP3 being in that starting five. Definitely, obviously, being a part of this organization with NBA training camp coming up very, very quickly. But now, could Golden State maybe move off of CP3 in what would be another frenetic movement cycle of this crazy NBA offseason that never fails to have a lot of drama included within it? Chris Mannix with this. Golden State could quickly become a front runner for Jrue Holiday. So it's Windhorst saying that, very well-respected NBA reporter, as well as another NBA insider who's also well-respected in Chris Mannix. He continued on Twitter by saying the Warriors have the contract, Chris Paul, blue-chip prospects, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and the draft capital to get it done. Now, obviously, we're going to continue to talk about this, dissect it on today's show, and if you're a real one, you'll watch this video until the end. First, though, if a move does happen, you know we're going to cover it here on Warriors Today. Myself, anybody at the Chat Sports office, Allie Barefoot's been filling in, doing an awesome job, and if you've liked her content, type AB down in the comment section. Jrue Holiday, last 4 years, I really like the player, and I've liked him for a really long time. First-round pick all the way back in 2009 by the Philadelphia 76ers. He was actually traded away by Philadelphia to kickstart the process under Sam Hinkie and was a solid player then. Made an all-star with Philadelphia. But over the last 5 to 7 years, he's really developed himself into one of the top two-way point guards in the NBA. He can score at all three levels, but really what he's known for is high-level defense. One of the best defenders in the game who can guard guards, he can stick wings, and I think for a really long time, he's just fallen under the radar as a pretty underrated player for the blue chipper that he is. And as for what he can give you right now, you look at what he did last year. 19 points per game, 7 assists, shot nearly 48% from the field, and then 38% from three. Those numbers pretty consistent. And his advanced stats here, catch and shoot three-point percentage, 45.4. Why I like that for Golden State, he's going to get a lot of catch and shoot opportunities with the Warriors because you're playing alongside snipers in Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Pull up three-point percentage. Not bad. It's always difficult to obviously step into a shot and take that three and rock with it. Deflections per game, 2.5. That's tied for 26. Two-time All-Star, 5-time All-Defensive Team member for Jrue Holiday. That speaks to the defensive ability that he has. This is where it gets a little bit concerning here. And hopefully it's only a one-year trend, because he did help lift the Milwaukee Bucks alongside Giannis and Chris Middleton to the championship a couple of years ago. But last year in the playoffs, he was not good. You might look at the points per game, assists per game, and say, well, Chase, 18 and 8, pretty damn solid. But the issue here with Jrue Holiday, 40% from the field, sub 29% from three. And when they needed to get the offense rocking against the Miami Heat, as they got upset in a historic upset, Holiday really did struggle. As for what we're getting into next here on the show, we've already broken down the reporting from Windhorst as well as Chris Mannix, but we have to tackle this question here. What is the price for Jrue Holiday? Stick around for that answer. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. If you're looking for easy and exciting daily fantasy options, Prize Picks is the only answer, and we have a great deal for you. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Make sure you plug in that link so that you can see for yourself. What is Prize Picks? Daily fantasy sports made easy. I know that. Prize Picks, the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. And it is the easiest, most exciting way to play DFS. If you go to that link, prizepicks.com/CLNS, and use that code, you get a first deposit match of up to $100. And instead of battling against thousands of other players, that includes pros and sharks, all you have to do, this is fun. You select two or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and you place your entry. Prize Picks, the most fun that I've had. I've won up to 25 times my money, and I just got started for this football season. And you look at some Warriors selections here. Love the Prize Picks here. 28.5 for Steph Curry, more, and then for Klay Thompson, what's the number? 21.1 less. $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS, and that's the fun that you can have if you go more or less here. Some of the NFL picks, very fun as well. And again, you pick those 2+ players, and it makes game day a much more enjoyable experience. So one more time, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that code CLNS for that deal to apply. More on Jrue Holiday here. Yes, 33 years old, starting to get a little bit older. And the Golden State Warriors, a lot of people were complaining about them adding Rudy Gay to a team that already has Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, with the nucleus of this team getting a little bit older. But look, you're trying to compete for an NBA championship right now, and now that road got a little bit more difficult because Damian Lillard is teaming up with the unicorn in Giannis. The Holiday contract, it's actually pretty affordable, honestly, for the player that he is. I mean, you have guys like Tobias Harris who are making nearly $40 million a year. So 2023, 2024, under $35 million. Following year, 37.3 in the NBA. The cap hit base salary, the same exact figures. More from Mannix here that, the Warriors could potentially be in play for Jrue Holiday. And that allows us to kind of segue to the players that might be involved in a deal as we look back at that tweet, because he talks about having the contract in CP3, the draft picks, but also the young player assets. And speaking of those young player assets, like this is the potential price tag here that you're talking about. In order to bring in a player like Jrue Holiday, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Chris Paul, and some draft capital, that's the type of package here that we're talking about to get a player like that, because you think about it from the Portland Trail Blazers perspective, right? They're going to rebuild under Scoot Henderson. A couple of other really good young players on that roster, Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe. They're trading away Dame for a reason. They're trading away Dame to start this rebuilding process to a certain degree, and maybe it's a retool on the fly. So you get back Chris Paul because that has to be included in the deal to make the contract work at the NBA level. Those are the financials of it. He could honestly be flipped once again. But really for Portland, you're looking at the young pieces here. You don't really have a young wing, a young shooter, a young big who has versatile elements to his game. You get that in Kuminga. You get that in Moses Moody, using those adjectives here, and you get the draft capital to really put together a complete team, but then have that draft pick flexibility in which you can use that on players, you can use that in trades. Some big pieces might have to go. in a move like this. That's just the reality of this. But you look at this lineup, and it's a lineup that I think makes a little bit more sense as compared to having Chris Paul. What have we talked about? Warriors need to get better defensively. They need to get a little bit more athletic. You get smaller with CP3. You lose a defensive presence there by having him on the floor with Steph Curry. With Jrue Holiday, though, he can play on ball, off ball a little bit better than CP3. Steph Curry has that flexibility to play on ball, off ball, which I think is a little bit more seamless and better of a fit as compared to Steph being on the floor with CP3, and you become a better defensive team here. Now, you lose a little bit in the front court because you do get smaller. Draymond Green will have to play the 5 because I don't think you're going to bring in Andrew Wiggins off the bench, Klay Thompson off the bench. I'm thinking that's the potential starting lineup. And right now, I think that something that we've been following as a theme is that the Warriors are warming up to, and it's become increasingly more likely that Chris Paul might be a starter for this team. Jrue Holiday in that starting 5 compared to CP3 in that starting 5. I think you're better with Jrue Holiday, but then you lose some of those pieces from the bench, like Kuminga, like Moses Moody, which has to be entered into this conversation and equation as well. So do it right now. Rate that starting lineup there on a scale of 1 to 10. Certainly an interesting addition in Jrue Holiday and an interesting report from Brian Windhorst as well as Chris Mannix. If a move does happen, this is why you subscribe. If you want Warriors talk like this that hopefully is intellectual, insightful, and entertaining, that's why you subscribe to the channel. It's Golden State Warriors today. I'm Chase Senior. Thanks to everybody out there for getting us past 60,000 subscribers, and keep it locked here for more Warriors analysis.